Hello, my name's Heather Bradley and I'm with Bristol Trauma Therapy, and the purpose of this video is to help you to discover your authentic self. So this model and these questions are not mine, they belong to Paul McKenna. However, it is such a useful model, particularly if you have experienced trauma, because it helps us to differentiate between when we are operating from a place that is from our absolute true self, who we know ourselves to be in our heart of hearts, or whether we are acting in a way where we are responding to the trauma that's happened to us, and whether we are actually operating from negative beliefs that we might be holding about ourselves, of needing to present ourselves to the world in such a way that we feel safe, we feel liked, lovable, worthy, etc. Because sometimes we know that we're doing it, but other times we really don't, do we? And I know in my own life, I wore a mask for years and I didn't understand. I thought the me that I was presenting to the world was really me. But now, as I look back on that after having worked on my own traumas, I can see that that wasn't actually the case, and that I was suffocating and masking the real me underneath. So, tonight, take out your journal and let's see how this goes. We're going to look at the model and then we're going to answer these questions in this short video. So, Paul McKenna's model is this. You have your authentic self in the middle. Just imagine that you've got a circle in the middle, another ring, and then another ring around it, a bit like a bullseye. So in the middle circle, this is your authentic self, who you really truly are in your heart of hearts, who you were when you were a baby, when you came into the world, before anything happened to you, and then to shape your experiences. And then the next layer around that is your negative self. And this self is formed from things like when you experience trauma in your life, or neglect, or even things that aren't necessarily that traumatic, but we take on beliefs about ourselves and the world, like I'm not safe, or I'm not good enough, or I'm not worthy, or nobody likes me, or I'm unlovable. These kind of things that we take on, this is our negative self, okay? And then beyond that, the next outer ring is what Paul McKenna calls our pretend self. And that is the version of us that is so afraid that people are going to see this middle layer, our negative self, and think that we are unlovable, and all of these sorts of things, that we then present a version of ourselves to the world, this pretend self, in order to keep ourselves safe, likable, lovable, etc. So I guess this is the point of this exercise, is to distinguish between, are we operating from this pretend self that we're putting out there, or our genuine authentic self? And sometimes it will probably be one and sometimes it will be the other. And by doing this exercise, we might be able to get a feel for when we're operating from one rather than the other. So let's do it. So I'm going to ask you some questions, and you can pause the video after each question and just write down your answers, take as long as you like, and then you can press play and do the next part. Okay, so the first questions are to help you to discover your pretend self. So this is the outer layer, okay, that we are presenting to the world. So question 1, how do you like to be seen? And just write whatever comes into your mind. There's no right or wrong answer here at all, right or wrong. How do you like to be seen? Next question. Which aspect of your personality do you hope that people will notice first? Next question. If your life were trying to prove something about you, what would that be? Okay, so answer those questions, pause the video if you haven't finished, and take your time in answering them. And when you come back, now we are going to do questions to help you discover your negative self. So this is the middle ring, okay? Just be as honest as you can. So what is the opposite of all of the traits of your pretend self? So everything you wrote down in question 1 for your pretend self, write the opposite words for that and just list them. Again, pause the video if you need to. Next question, which of your secrets will be discovered after you die? And next question, who is your least favourite person and why? And I know it can be tough to write some of these things down, but we're going to be brave. We're all doing it together. I've even done this on a blog post, actually, which I will link to underneath this video, and you're welcome to go and have a look at the blog post and read through it all. And I've put my own answers on there too, so I'm in this with you. Right, okay, so remember, this pretend self is not the real you, okay? This is the you that has been born out of trauma. So now, questions to help you discover your authentic self, the real you in the middle of this. Here we go. Who are you when nobody is watching? Next question. If you felt totally safe, what would you do differently? Next question. Who would you be if you lived beyond your fear? Okay, so you can pause the video, take as long as you need to answer those questions, and then come back to me. So it makes sense, doesn't it, after having done that exercise? I mean, some of these things can be quite challenging to write, I do understand that, but hopefully you can see the difference between when you're operating from your pretend self and what you're hoping that people will notice about you, compared to when you are operating from your authentic self, when you're just being yourself, you know, putting yourself out there to the world in a way where you are not caring about how people respond to you, because you're not doing it for them, you're doing it for you. And the middle section, obviously, you can see how, say if, for example, in your pretend self, you'd said, you know, I really like to be seen. I like to be seen. Then perhaps the opposite of that for the negative self will be, I feel invisible. And perhaps you would be able to relate that back to in your own childhood, perhaps, where you might have felt like it wasn't safe for you to be seen. You had to be invisible to stay safe. There's just one example of many, many, many. But it can really help when you do this exercise. It can help to clarify to ourselves, can't it? And then you have a little bit more of a choice about where you choose to operate from. Okay, so that's it. Like I said, feel free to check out the blog post, which is on my website, bristoltraumatherapy.co.uk. Feel free to go over there anyway and have a look. I offer therapy, trauma therapy in Bristol and online. And I really hope you've enjoyed this video. Feel free to subscribe and comment. And I look forward to seeing you in the next video. Okay, take care for now. Bye.